Good evening, and welcome to the American Farriers Journal Hoof-care Classroom. I'm Jeff Coda, editor of American Farriers Journal. Thank you for joining us for tonight's webinar with Frank Dugan of Glue U Adhesives. Frank has been in the hoof-care industry since 1993, dealing with adhesives and sole support materials. He's conducted clinics in more than 25 countries in various climates and situations for gluing on shoes, and understands the limitations and benefits that a glue-on shoe can have on the horse. Now, before we get started with the presentation, I have a couple of housekeeping items. On your screen, there's a control panel with a Q&A icon. You can submit questions here at any time during the presentation, and we'll take those at the end of the presentation. If you want a larger presence or a larger view of your camera, you can stretch your window. It'll make it larger. There's also a view option up in your upper right-hand corner. I believe it's upper right-hand corner. It is for me anyway. You can adjust the different views, so it makes it easier for you to be able to see what Frank is going to present tonight. We are recording today's session, and in the event that you want to go back and watch it or share it with anyone, it will also be online on our website within 48 hours. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Frank.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for joining. I hope you come away with this with some little hint or tidbit that'll make your job easier. What I'd like to do tonight is just kind of go through indirect versus direct shoeing. And primarily, I'll be showing you the glue shoe, glue-on shoe, which, as Jeff said, I've seen a lot of glue-ons over the years, and a little biased here, obviously, but I think this is one of the easiest ones to put on a foot. Obviously, direct glues have their place. They're excellent. They can be time-consuming. Indirects, as the name implies, you're basically gluing onto the hoof wall, not the bottom. So the advantages of an indirect is that, number one, it's much faster to apply. I work out at a very high-end horse rescue every Wednesday, and the farrier out there, once we got our routine down, said, this is probably faster than shaping a shoe in the forge and hot fit. So, but again, it takes practice, and you got to do that with anything you do. But not only is it faster, I think you'll see that it's safer for all involved, and I'll get into that later. Basically, what you're going to do is your normal trim and balance, and that's it. You'll dress the outer wall and glue the shoe on. So the shoe itself, if you haven't seen it before, this is what they look like. It's a rubber shoe, drilled so you can tap it if you want and put studs in. And these are the cuffs that you glue onto, all right? Now, one of the key factors for this is that they're shapeable. You shape it on the anvil or a stall jack. And the reason you can do that is inside every one is an aluminum plate. So you can shape every one of those shoes the way you want it. They come in front, hind patterns as well, all right? In terms of sizing, we go from the mini up to a size 8 draft shoe. So it basically covers the gamut, really. But what's also nice about these is that they're adaptable. You can configure them almost any way you want for ease of breakover, a lot of different things. And I mentioned earlier, it's safer. Basically, most shoes you're gluing, you're putting to the foot, and then you're holding it for 5 or 7 minutes, even though you've wrapped it. And that, some horses don't want to give you that. Conditions in terms of footing, dirty. You're in a barn, even if it's a clean barn, there's dirt on the ground. So if you're doing a direct, you're either putting it in a boot, wrapping it in a towel. I've used diapers before to keep them clean while we're getting everything else ready. With this, you don't have to. Your normal trim and balance, put the foot down, and then go shape your shoe. All right. What's nice about this, as I said, is you're going to glue this to the foot while the horse is standing on it. And it's particularly helpful for therapeutic shoeing. You can use these shoes on riding horses. We've had them on some eventers where I would be leery and hesitant is on a horse that's very high torque. Your barrel horses, your cutting horses, anything that's spinning. They're going to stay on, but they're not going to stay on long. All right. And the other thing is, these things wear. I got one here. I had one. They will wear down to the aluminum, and that's okay. They're not going to come off at that point. All right. The rubber is galvanized to the shoe. I mean, this one here we had to cut off, and I'll go into how to get them off later because if you try rasping, you're going to be there all day. I'll tell you right now. But basically, they will wear down to metal, again, depending on length of time they're on and the type of ground they're on. But this is okay. Don't freak out if you see that because they're going to do it. It's natural. It'll also tell you where your wear patterns are. I've seen some that were just worn to the metal at the heels and total rubber up in the toe. So it's kind of a good indicator, really. But as I said, you're going to glue this on while the horse is standing. Therapeutically, it's much safer for you and it's more comfortable for the horse. At that horse rescue that I'm at, they have 216 horses. When I first pulled up there, I thought it was a high-end equestrian center. It's well funded. They got a full-time vet tech and a vet comes twice a week. So the horses are well cared for. But that said, they get them that have been abused, neglected. Probably 80% have some type of hoof issue, founder laminitis, true navicular. So it's been a great laboratory for me. But those horses want all 4 feet on the ground. They really don't want to pick one up and give you 5 or 7 minutes. So this is perfect. So you go ahead, you do your trim and balance, dress the outer wall, shape the shoe on the anvil or the stall jack, get it to fit. Okay. And that's it. All right. Well, if you're going to be doing some other things, let's go through that. If you want to set the shoe back, just cut the toe cuff out, and that'll set it right back. And then you can take this part to the grinder, and you can grind down to metal to really facilitate breakover. So that's one option there. Your other option is, I don't know if you can see that here. Let me pull it back a little. You can actually rocker them if you want to do it that route. Now, on the anvil, closing the heels, opening them up, whatever, you can pretty much wail on these things on the anvil, except if you're going this way. You want to be a little bit careful if you're going to rocker that shoe. Just kind of, tap, tap, tap as you go and get it where you want to. But don't go slamming on it in that direction. This direction, opening it up, closing it, you can wail on it pretty good. The minis, be a little careful on. Even though they got the aluminum plate in there, it's not that big of an aluminum plate. So take your time doing that one. All right. Now then, to put this shoe on the foot so that the horse can stand on it, because they're still going to kind of want to move around. What you want to use is a product called Prefix. And this is just a 2-part glue. That's all it is. This is a gel. This is a spray that activates it. And that's it. You can do it a couple different ways. I usually, let me get this off of here. I usually just put the gel right around the white line. And I don't know if you can see that or not. But I'm not going to do it because I'll never get it off this synthetic foot. But it's a gel, and just put a bead of it on the white line. And then with spray, just spray the branch of the shoe. You don't have to get the cuffs. If you get the cuffs, it's no big deal. But just spray the branch of the shoe and then put the shoe on, and that's it. Now, you've got about 5 seconds, literally, to get the heels where you want it. And then that's it. It's stuck. Hold it for another 5 or 10 seconds and put the foot down. That's all you have to do. That horse can walk around. It's not going to come off. So again, the horse is at ease. You're not stressed about this. It's just a quick, easy way of doing it. Because again, so far, all you've done is your normal trim and balance, shaped the shoe, and temporarily glued it on. That's it. All right. From there, then we can go ahead. Well, before we get that, some other modifications. We've also got frog inserts for the shoe, and those just snap in. All right. There'll be a noticeable click when you get it in there. Now, the modification you might make on these is that if you've got, say, a number 1 shoe, but you've had to close the heels up, all right? So what you can do at that point then is you'll see this little V shape in here. You can close that in, and if that gives you enough room, it'll snap in. If it doesn't, then if you've got a bandsaw on the truck, just open that V up a little bit more, and that'll squeeze in more and set in. If you've really closed it up, go from a number 1, which this is, to an aught size, and that'll fit in. Okay. You can also, with these, use the mesh, traditional mesh that everybody has seen. Cut that in. I usually use that when I use the prefix, and then I've got the meshes glued in as well. So it's an easy fix there. It's not sliding around on you and everything like that. So that's what you can do. You can also build up wedges on shoes. I don't know if you can see that. Okay. All this is aquarium sand with our acrylic. And just mix it up, take a tongue blade, smooth it where you want it, get your angle down, and let it set. And this sets like granite. You can grind on it. It's a tough grind, but you can grind on it. But it's just another option to give you if you just need a little bit of lift and you don't necessarily want to put a wedge pad in. It's just another option that you can go through. Okay. And again, if you wanted to set the shoe back, cut the toe out of it, put it on there, and you got some ease of breakover. You can hit the rubber here again with the grinder for ease of breakover. You can also come back here, get that on. You can also come back in there, and before you glue the shoe on, take that to your belt sander and check the heels on that, safe them up, and give you an area out here to clean up. So again, kind of just like a normal shoe. All right. In terms of glue, another nice thing about a direct glue is you're not going to use a lot of glue. These shoes, you can see that. Let's see. Black shirt doesn't help. Let me see. Right there. You can see the little ridges in there. Okay. That's all you want filled with glue. All right. So it's going to kind of look like that. You're not using a ton of glue. The glue we have, it comes in the traditional stubby format or the larger 420 mil, okay? The first time I used this, not knowing what I was doing particularly, I think we put 2 shoes on and used a whole tube. If you're gluing, say, double aughts on, 2 weeks ago, we got 3 sets of double aughts with 1 tube. So you're not using a bunch of glue, okay? And you don't want to use too much. When you fit that shoe to the foot, you want a nice angle on that cuff. If they're standing up away from the wall, it's too tight, number one. Number two, you're going to use too much glue, and it's not going to be as tight a fit as you want. It won't last as long, okay? So have that angle, nice angle right to the hoof wall where you want it, okay? Now that should fix, get that out of the way. Cartridge. I'm not going to glue a whole shoe because I'm in my office with the door closed. By the way, should you hear some dog barking, my wife's away and I've got 3 labs, one's a 1-year-old. So Jeff heard them a bit ago, but I fed them and gave them some Benadryl. So I think they might be napping right now. Anyway, this is a traditional MMA acrylic. It's a 10-to-1 ratio. So you've got the insert in the middle, and all you want to see, if it was a new cartridge, you want to give it a good squeeze. And what you want to see, and I hope you can see that white in the middle? Okay, that's what you want to see. So now it's mixed, it's balanced, you've equalized the cartridge, and you're ready to go. All right. So trim, balance the foot, fit the shoe, prefixed it onto the foot. You've prepped your cartridge, everything's equalized. Put your mix tip on. You can hand mix. I know a lot of folks that hand mix and they're just comfortable, they like it. For them, they're basically using this. It's just more cost effective on that. I'm not good enough right now to hand mix, particularly with the changing seasons. If you're in, fairly steady climates, it's okay. You know the feel that you're going to get. But where I live in Missouri, the humidity is a killer. The heat is bad in the summer, heat and humidity. And then we got winter coming on. So I just feel I get a much more consistent mix out of the mix tip. I like the stubbies. Number one, it fits in the stubby gun. So I don't have the long caulking gun, which you can use with an adapter, but it's just more bulk. This is just super handy. So I like using it this way, right? Let me throw a shoe on here. Going. Good. Now, one thing, when you start shaping the shoe, I would recommend putting gloves on at that point. You can get dirt and grease all over here, but if you get it on the inside of the cuff, that could cause a problem, okay? I'm not going to do it tonight. Hopefully then it'll fall off easier, but I don't think so. So anyway, when you're ready to go, or when you're going to prefix the shoe, grab the outer cuffs like that. Give you a little bit more, come in at the toe, and then just set it down. Get your heels where you want it. And again, let the horse stand on the ground. All right. When you're ready to glue on, basically you can start wherever you want. I'm going to start right up here, and you just pull that back and then just start squeezing, but it's not much. So I've got one full squeeze, pull back, and 2, okay? And then I'm going to go around and do that one, do this one, and then before I wrap, I'm just going to go back and make sure I got it at the heel. And that's critical on any glue-on. I don't care if it's a direct, indirect, you want some material back at the heel. So you've got the foot up, you go ahead and wrap it. I'll do that a little bit here. Oh yeah, smells good in the closed office. Just wrapping it quick just to show you something here. What you want to do now, then you put the foot down. And that's the only time you really have that foot up. Take your roller and just roll it to get any air you might have in there out of there. And that's it. Go on to the next foot, trim the hinds if you're doing the fronts. And by the time you're done there, you just take that off. Finishing it up, you can either do a rasp or sanding drum. I like it's just easier. And that's pretty much it at that point. Now then, to take it off, just go ahead. I'm just going to pull part of this off. To get these off, you can rasp. I highly recommend not doing it unless your apprentice is built like Paul Bunyan. It's going to take you a while, all right? What we've got is a draw knife, double-handled draw knife. That is by far the easiest way to get this off. And what you want to do, if this horse would stand still, is you don't want to go straight down. You want to just go like you're rasping and just take off little chunks at a time. And you're going to do that till you see, if I can do that right here. Yeah. If you can see that, see those little, that's where the glue is, the white, all right? You'll see that on the hoof wall. Basically, that means you've separated the cuff from the shoe itself. So do that all the way around, pick the foot up, grab your pull-offs, and pop it off. And that's pretty much all there is to it on that. So I'm done. I told you, Jeff, about 20 minutes. So that's it. I want to thank you for listening and watching, and would love to take any questions you got.
Yeah. We were talking about this at, I believe it was Anvil Brand, about a year ago. How sharp is that knife?
Surgically sharp.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of picking it up just like that once, and yeah, there was blood everywhere. This thing is super sharp. When you get one, put some cardboard over it or something. I mean, we ship it with cardboard on it and a lot of tape. I've got a leather hoof knife carrier, and I put that at the bottom, and so that covers it there. But these things are super sharp. You can sharpen them, on your buffing wheel, whatever you want. But these things are extremely sharp. When you first get them, you probably can take it off straight up and down, but the shaving motion, like you're rasping, is just, it's much easier. And you're just going to take off little bits at a time until you see those lines in there with the glue and the rubber. You'll see it's very noticeable. And at that point, you're pretty good to just take your pull-offs and pop it off. So one other thing I should mention, if you do have the toe cup, make sure these are filled up with glue. Okay, don't leave them open like that. It just leaves areas for moisture, manure, urine to get into. So just make sure you've got a little bit of bead there. And normally, like this one, is almost there. And if I put material under here and had rolled that up there, it would have filled it up. So just make sure those are filled up and your heels are covered. Those are your two big points there.
Right.
Okay.
As a reminder, if you have a question for Frank, click on that Q&A button and then type in your question there. We'll get started with that Q&A portion. First question is, what's the best way to prep the hoof wall?
I really just rasp it or a sanding drum on your drill. All you want is that outer epithelial layer off of there, particularly if the horse owners or the barn has been putting ointments and dressings on there. Then you want to get that off of there. But that's about it. Just a light rasp. Just again, like you were trimming the foot. You're going to do that. You're going to take your rasp. You're going to dress that outer wall. That's it. That's what's so nice about this is you're doing your regular job, and then you're just shaping the shoe like you normally would. And then the only thing different really is use that prefix, temporarily glue it on, put the foot down, shoot the glue in, wrap it up. It's actually a quick, easy way of doing it. I'll touch on another point. It might be a question in terms of moisture. This is not as susceptible to issues as a direct glue. Direct glue, your normal trim balance, then you're going into the white line, any of the trash gets out of there, you're digging that out, and the bottom of the foot might look like this, which is okay for a glue on. But moisture is a killer. These things will bond to moisture. They'll push it out to some extent, the acrylics. The urethanes will bond to water. So it has to be super dry at that point. If you've got some moisture, we had one last week at the rescue where they brought it in out of the pasture and the foot was wet. But by the time Mike trimmed it and dressed the outer wall on that, he just took his little torch and just gave it about 10 seconds, glued it on, and no problems. If they come out of the pond, then, you need to set yourself up for success, particularly if you know you're going to be gluing. Tell the owner or the barn, put them up at night in a stall, dry bedding, and it just makes your life much easier. But always set yourself up for success, particularly with doing glue-ons. And I don't care if it's direct, indirect. It's paramount that you have a good foot to work with.
Now you mentioned the torch. Is it necessary to torch the sole or the hoof at all?
No, the only we'll do it once in a blue moon out there, and we glue on probably. Mike's just there on Wednesdays, and I'm there with him, and we'll glue 3 or 4 pairs every time we're there. Again, out there, these horses have issues, and so it good for me, bad for them. I get that, but these, we have a lot of horses out there with those on. Again, a lot of them because of hoof conformation, other issues. It's hard to nail on some of those horses, and some of them just don't like nails. Period. Which you get that, but it's a little bit different out there. Fortunately, we got a vet tech there that if we need to, we'll come up and give them a little juice to calm them down. But no, you don't have to dry. We don't, as a rule, unless they've just pulled them out of the pasture and it's been raining, or this time of year, a lot of dew on the grass. And so, but usually by the time he's done dressing the hoof wall, it's a non-issue. He's just got the little, what I call the creme brulee torch, and he just gives it about 5-10 seconds, and that's it. You can use a heat gun, you can use a hair dryer. On any of those, though, what you want to guard against is over drying. that hoof wants to regulate its moisture content from inside to outside. If you desiccate that outer wall and it's just super dry, you're going to have moisture migrating to the outer wall to compensate. So all you need is the surface area dry. You don't have to dry 3 millimeters into the hoof wall. So just a cursory drying on the outside, and then go in. If you're doing a direct glue, you want to be, as soon as you do that, you want to go. You want everything ready to go. Dry it and go, because the bottom of the foot's going to replenish its moisture much quicker than the outer wall. So
Now, you mentioned that you're using them there at that barn as a therapeutic option, but is this a good long-term option for a quote unquote healthy foot?
sure, yeah. I mean, again, I'd be hesitant to put it on a high grade barrel racer or a cutting horse, but now this rescue also, I mean, they have 216 horses, but they also do 4-H riding. They do lessons out there, everything else, and a fair amount of those horses have those shoes on, and so they're worked or ridden every day. Um, and some of the people out there, they take them trail riding. We put one on that I'm anxious to talk to that went down to Eminence for that endurance race, which, if anybody's been there, you're basically riding on jagged shale. It's brutal. It'll cut up leather pads down there. So I haven't heard anything good or bad on that. But her horse had been in those for about a year, and she just wanted to continue with that. And so, yeah, and horses that are in a straight line. I know guys that have eventing horses and that, and they have them on there. Now, those horses that are worked every day, they're going to wear down to that metal probably within week and a half. But it's fine as long as your glue on the hoof wall is solid. That thing pretty much is not coming off unless they catch it at the heel or something like that.
Right. What's the typical shoeing cycle?
Out there, it's about 12 weeks. Seriously. I mean, coming once a week, Mike can only get to so many.
Right.
And a lot of them aren't terribly active. I mean, normal glue-ons, if you get 4 to 6 weeks, you're doing super on that point. 4 weeks with these out there is normal. I mean, easy. We normally do them at 8 or 10, to be honest with you, out there, just because that's as soon as we can get to them, because there's a rotation. So. But no, the riding horses out there for 4-H, and the manager out there, Christina, is ex-Olympic level rider, and she does the teaching and the riding lessons and all that. And she's given us carte blanche out there. So basically, we can put them on anything there. Now, there's some people that have horses out there that are boarding them there, and they want metal shoes, and that's fine. Mike just throws the shoes in the fire and shakes them, puts them on, hot fits them, and off they go. So it's a variety out there, which is what makes it fun. But anyway, no, you can use them on normal riding horses. That's fine.
Okay.
It's just those really high torque spinning ones. I would be leery of.
Okay. Yeah. That was a question that just came in. Why the hesitancy for a barrel horse or a race horse? Because of the torque.
Well, and it'd be the higher end ones. I mean, they'll stay on. They're not going to stay on as long. That's the issue for me. To tell someone, if you're going to put them on 2 days and they're going to the barrel race, fine. But 4 weeks later, they're probably not going to be on there on a horse that's worked every day like that. It's just way too much twisting on that, in my opinion. A lower level, a beginner, it's probably fine, but not one that's going to NFR. So,
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you use sole packing under a pad for a laminated case, for instance?
Sure. Yeah. You can do a couple different ways. You can go with the frog insert, and you can also put mesh in there. You can use straight mesh um, if you want to use the urethanes like that. I would just use the mesh and go with that route. If you're going to go with the dim products, you can use pads. We've got pads for that. You can just pack the caudal region on a frog support pad, um, like this one, or Austin's is popular. Any of those, all right. Different densities are available. So it's basically you can put on the sole what you would do with a metal shoe. You've got all the options there, which makes it nice.
Can you wedge them up?
Sure, yeah. We've got wedge pads we use, frog wedge pads, wedge pads. You could, if you wanted to, as I said, just get some aquarium sand and acrylic and make your own wedge if you want to do it that route, or just use the wedge pad inside. It really doesn't make a difference.
Okay. How does the glue affect the hoof wall, both short and long term?
Short term, it doesn't. Long term, like a year, um, it can. Things just leach through, and I would certainly give them a break at some point. Generally, I mean, you're gluing on because you don't have an option. The hoof wall condition is such that it's not going to hold nails, or whatever reason. You're gluing on because you almost have to. Obviously, this shoe makes it a little bit easier, um, but you generally want to glue on till you get the foot back to where you want it. And then if you want to nail on, you can nail on. If you want to keep gluing, fine. But I would give them a break.
Yeah.
Like out there now, we're starting to pull shoes for the winter, which is, I mean, it was only 90 degrees here today and humid. But well, they got a lot to go through, so they're starting that cycle right now. But yeah, I would give them a break once in a while from it. Just long term, yeah, it's eventually going to soften and weaken the wall, get a little crumbly, mushy. But again, I mean, we've we've had horses out there that have been in them almost a year, some of them, and their walls aren't bad. I mean, they're not falling apart or anything. So, just, I mean, I would give them a break once in a while, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. There's one question that just came in. Are there instructional videos on YouTube?
Mhm. Yep. If you go to glueyou.com, or just go to YouTube and type in Glue U, all the videos are there. Some are a little dated, to be honest with you. We're in the process now of updating them. If you go to our website, the videos are there as well. On all of our literature and the products themselves, they've got your little marker there that'll send you to a video. So, yeah, readily available. Readily available. Our website pretty much has anything. And then YouTube has all the instructional videos. Those were done by Roy Verrique down in Florida. And again, some of them are a little just outdated in terms of packaging and stuff like that. Roy likes to hand mix, and he's good at it. He's brilliant at it, but that's what he likes to do. I like to use the mix tip. It's easier for me. So, yeah.
Great. And shameless plug. Roy did a demonstration at the summit. So if you went to the summit, you have access to the videos that we have on our website where Roy demonstrated it.
Yeah.
So that looks like that's the end of the questions. So I want to thank Frank for joining us tonight, and to the audience for those great questions.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
As a reminder, tonight's presentation and audio will be made available on the American Farriers Journal website. You'll also receive an email within 48 hours of the recorded presentation, so watch your email for that. On behalf of Frank Dugan, Blue U Adhesives and American Farriers Journal, thank you for joining us for tonight's digital demo. Please feel free to reach out to let us know what you thought of the live event and if there are any topics you'd like us to cover in future webinars. American Farriers Journal has other webinar replays available to view as well, including one for Blue U. Be sure to take a look at those other topics we have covered. And thanks again, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
One quick. If you have any questions on any of this, give me a call. You can go to the website. The phone number is there. Other than that, it's 816-305-6984. And just give me a call. We'll run through everything. Okay. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thanks, Jeff.
Bye.
Bye.